morning, everyone. We are at Tara Drummond Trailhead here at the Silver Comet Trail, located at Seaboard Avenue and 278. Beautiful park to get on. And man, what are you doing?
John Grant.
Jeremiah
Yes,
Fields,
sir.
man. What are you doing out here?
Just preparing for the Rides for Wishes.
You already getting prepared? You gonna be
Yes,
riding?
sir. Yes, sir. I'll be riding. Have you heard about the changes coming?
Hey, there's a lot of changes, all positive.
Absolutely.
We need to share it with everybody.
Yes, sir.
Folks, in case you haven't heard, there's some changes to this year's Rides for Wishes. It will be on August the 16th, starting at 8 o'clock at 240 Constitution Boulevard. That is Veterans Park. That's where it will start. Once the ride starts, it's going to come across 278 here to the Tara Drummond Trailhead and head west. If you're not familiar with what Rides for Wishes is, this is a collaboration that we do with Make-A-Wish Georgia. And we take sponsorships, and what the money does, it stays all in Paulding County to sponsor a family that they have a child that is going through a critical or terminal illness, and we just want to give them that opportunity to be able to escape for a day and to maybe just have a little bit of relief and enjoy themselves. So all that money stays right here to sponsor a family in Paulding County. But it's not only changing up to be August the 16th. We're going to have some live entertainment here that morning. We're going to also have a coffee truck. We're going to have us a food truck to offer some light refreshments for everybody. Maybe you want to get your carbs up before you take out on the trail. And then as you leave, typically that's been the end of the race. We all go home and we wish the riders well, but we want them to come back to Veterans Park to end the ride, where we're going to have some great giveaways.
Yes, sir.
You may even get some of them.
I hope so.
Because you're a fast rider.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know about that, but I'll be there.
hey, don't let him kid you. He's awesome, man. So he's going to be here. We want to encourage you and everyone else to come out. Hey, if you don't ride, that's okay. Just come on out and support a Paulding County family, and the money goes to a great, great cause, and we are excited about the changes. August the 16th, starting at 240 Constitution Boulevard, Veterans Park, getting on the trailhead at Tara Drummond, and then coming back to finish it up. Hey, live entertainment. Where can you get all of this in one morning? Are you excited?
I'm excited. Yes, sir.
Man, it's good to see you.
I got to get back after it.
Well, good luck, man.
Thank you.
Come see us.
We're here today to celebrate Employee of the Month, Eric Wolf. Well, Eric just embodies what Paulding County stands for. Just collaboration, teamwork. He's innovative, he's forward-thinking, and he's just a team player. I went to Mr. Wolf about doing some training in the reservoir. His immediate response was, "Do you have the boat with you? We can put it in the water right now and do some training." I knew right then that he was a team player who was ready to help us out in anything we needed. I just want to say thank you for being who you are, man. Thank you for all the teamwork, all the collaboration, everything you've given to us, allowed us to do over there. He's an awesome guy, just a good dude.
Hello everyone, I'm John Grant. I want to take a moment today to tell you about the newest department, the Communications Department here at Paulding County. Not only are we the newest, we're the smallest. As a matter of fact, the entire department is in this room right now. The Paulding County Communications Department serves as a central link connecting citizens, businesses, elected officials, and all county departments. Our work crosses all departmental boundaries to promote transparency, engagement, and unity throughout the community. Our responsibilities include promoting all public events, managing county social media marketing, live streaming Board of Commissioners meetings, drone operations and content, creating all video content in-house, and serving as a liaison across departments and with the public. This is just a snapshot of our work, but it demonstrates the depth, reach, and impact of what we do every day in service to Paulding County.
Hey everyone, I'm Philip, Media Production Coordinator for Paulding County. Hope you all have been loving the content we've been producing so far, but we still have so much more to do to serve you and keep you informed.
Hi, my name is Matt Walker, and I'm the new video producer here. Hold on, just 1 second. There we go, perfect. I'm the new guy here, and I am super excited to be a member of this team. I really believe that Paulding County is full of amazing people and stories, and I am so excited to be a part of a department whose job it is to bring those stories to you.
So now you know the Communications Department of Paulding County. And we are excited about serving you. And when I say you, we mean everyone. Not just the natives of Paulding County like all of us, but also those of you that have moved in here, because we understand you are here for the same reason we never left here. We all love Paulding County, and we are excited to serve you.
good afternoon and welcome to the June session of the Paulding County Planning Commission. I would ask you at this time, if you have an audible device, phone, whatever it may be, please turn it off or to silence so that it doesn't interrupt the proceedings of the meeting. We've called the meeting to order, so at this time I'm going to go ahead and address the minutes from the previous session of this body, then I'll get into some of the basic rules for participation. Has everybody had a chance to read the minutes from the previous session? Do you have any questions, comments, edits? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Mr. Steele and a second by Mr. Callahan. All in favor? Motion passes. Jacob, there was a motion to approve the minutes. I'm sorry, I needed to announce we have one of our members attending by phone. That is the school district representative, Jacob Wicks. I just made a motion to approve, or had a motion made to approve the minutes from the previous session and seconded. I approve. You approve. Okay, so passes 6-0 and 1. Here you go. And I would ask for everybody to be a little patient while we try to navigate this. I haven't done this with an attendee attending virtually. So as we go through, there may be some interruptions where I'm seeking clarification from the phone call. The Planning Commission is a recommending body and works on behalf of the Paulding County Board of Commissioners and the City of Hiram. Any of the applications that are on the agenda for consideration today for Paulding County unincorporated will be considered, and the recommendation will be forwarded to the Board of Commissioners for their meeting to be held on July 22nd at 2 p.m.
Mr. Chairman.
I'm sorry.
July 8th for the Board of Commissioners.
Sorry. I thought you said 22nd. Okay. So be forwarded to the July 8th meeting, and it would be at the 2 p.m. meeting, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So July 8th at 2 p.m. So any of the Paulding County applications will be forwarded there. You would need to be in attendance if you are the applicant or may have a vested interest. For the City of Hiram, it will be forwarded to the City of Hiram for them to determine when the next most reasonable date to hold a hearing would be held based on advertising requirements. So we're a recommending body. What happens is we'll have the applicant who will come forward, present their case. 15 minutes will be allotted to those wishing to speak on behalf. That includes the applicant, so it's a total cumulative time. Applicant may utilize all of that time or may conserve some of it for rebuttal. 15 minutes will be allotted to anybody wishing to speak in opposition to an application or may have questions, comments, or concern. Again, that's a cumulative time. So if you have people lining up behind you at the dais, would you please just consider that and make your comments as brief as possible. And if you're saying the same thing or someone has already said what you're wanting to, just keep that in mind and keep the comments brief so that we can try to accommodate everyone. Have I missed anything?
I think you got it.
So at this time, Mr. Robinson, if you wouldn't make any announcements.
Thank you. No, actually, what I was understanding, we have a case 2025-12Z application by Integrity Development Group. They are requesting to rezone 31.94 acres from B2 Highway Business District to R55. This is located at the Georgian Parkway and Villa Rica Highway. That application has been forwarded to the July 22nd meeting.
That's where the 22nd
And it was just some adjustments on site plan.
I got you. Okay. At this time, if you would, please introduce the first applicant.
The first application today is 2025-10Z, application by Richard Kemp requesting to rezone 1 acre from B1 General Business District to R1 Rural Residential District for the proposed future development of a single-family residence. Property is located in land lots 107, 110, District 2, Section 3. It's located on the east side of Reese Road, and that is just south of East Paulding Drive. It's in Commission Post 1, and staff has recommended approval with one stipulation. And we didn't have any noted calls or correspondence with concerns on this one, and the applicant is present.
If the applicant will please come around, sign in, state your name, and address your comments to the chair.
What do I sign in at?
Should be like,
Yeah, I've had the property about 15 years. It was in commercial. It was a parking lot for the school. They don't need it no more, and I'm not using it that anymore. I like to just get it turned over to residential. Pretty simple.
All right, are you familiar with the one stipulation that was listed by staff?
No.
It says owner applicant agrees to obtain an encroachment permit to modify the existing commercial driveway to a residential driveway standards.
Yeah.
So you're good with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. Has anybody got questions for the applicant?
Richard, are you going to build the house yourself or somebody else going to build it?
I haven't decided yet.
Okay. No, well, I was just going to say, I mean, if somebody else builds it, they'll do that driveway part for you, so.
Any other questions to the applicant? Thank you very much, sir.
Yes, sir.
Is there anybody wishing to speak in opposition to this application or may have questions, comments, or concerns?
My name is Vince DiCecco. I live at 183 Eastland Drive in Dallas, the adjacent subdivision of Eastland Estates. I'm here actually for two reasons. One, I'm also a member of the Paulding County Cemetery Preservation Commission, and I would want to make sure that there is not a cemetery on this property or adjacent to it when construction begins. And also, I would like to suggest that the planning board ask that question of every applicant who is deciding to build on property that is undeveloped. We're in the process of identifying all of the cemeteries in Paulding County and then conducting site visits for all of them. And then making recommendations to preserve them and make them better looking for the county. I am also the HOA president for Eastland Estates, which one tip of this property is adjacent to one of the homes in our neighborhood. In looking at the application or the recommendations from the board, it says on there that there's a manufactured home going to be placed on there, and a chain link fence of pretty large size in the back, and a wired fence in the front. We're not opposed to this as long as it looks good. It is right next door to a property that I believe it's a manufactured home that is in pretty bad condition. That property at 415 East Road, I've made several calls to the marshal's office to have them go out and clean up the trash and so forth. I took some pictures today. I don't know who I submit these to.
Are these pictures of the subject property?
No.
Okay.
The subject property is, you can have them. The subject property is undeveloped. It's just a field.
Right.
It's got some brush that was cut down and piled up, so it's just ready to be built on. But right next door, I just wanted to make the applicant aware that that property next door is in pretty bad shape. It is infested with all kinds of wildlife and animals and stuff. It does impact our neighborhood that is adjacent to it. He's got a number of vehicles that are parked out there, and we just don't want another home being built that takes away from the beauty of our subdivision, which is right next door. Plus, it impacts it. So it's hard to see in some of those pictures, but there's trash all over the porch. There's trash piled up in the driveway. We just don't want another situation like that.
Mr. Checo, just to clear up something, they're not applying for a manufactured home. That's what was on the property back in about 2005.
Oh,
And that's what's showing on the survey.
Yeah,
But
that's what I saw in the
It's been vacant
recommendations.
for a long time and used as parking, as Mr. Kemp explained. So what they will be doing is whoever builds it will have to comply with county ordinances and build within county specs.
Okay.
Whatever house size is required or whatever architectural requirements are. Your concern on the other parcel, you probably need to direct that more through the marshal's office.
I have
for
to
code
call them
enforcement.
again.
So,
The condition you see in those pictures has been that way since May. And this is the third time I'm calling the marshals on that property. So I wish you the very best of luck in building your home, and I hope you are
If you would, please direct your
with
comments.
us about.
If you would, please direct your comments here.
Well, I would hope that I wish the applicant good luck in building his home.
Yes, sir.
And I hope he supports our efforts to clean up the property at 415 Reese Road.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
Is there anyone else here that wishes to speak in opposition to this application or may have questions, comments, or concerns? Hearing none, unless the applicant wishes to come back forward and speak again, would reiterate what was just said. You understand you'd have to go through the permitting process of the county in order to build the home, so there are development standards that you'd still have to meet, so. Is there a motion by Planning Commission on application 2025-10-Z?
I make a motion to approve with the one stated stipulation.
I have a motion to approve with the one listed stipulation by Mr. Steele. I have a second by Mr. Aston. All in favor? Jacob? Motion passes 6-0 and 1. 6.
Oh. Sorry, Jack.
Trying to throw my math off.
I was counting heads, I didn't count phone too.
Again, this will be forwarded to the Board of Commissioners for their consideration on the July meeting, I mentioned on the 8th, I believe, at 2 p.m. Mr. Robinson.
Okay, next application is 2025-11Z, application by Kurt and Heather Newth, requesting to rezone 29.73 acres from A1 Agricultural District to R2 Suburban Residential District for the proposed future development of 2 single-family homes for 2 children and their families. Property is located in land lots 758 and 827, District 18, Section 3. It's on the south side of Thomas Road, and it's west of Raccoon Creek Road. It's in Commission Post 4. Staff has recommended approval with 2 stipulations. We did have a couple of calls and inquiries on this application, and there may need to be some clarification regarding the R2 district versus the R1 district.
Okay.
Quick question on that. Was it originally going R1 or was it going R2? Because the letter of intent says R1.
The letter of intent was R1. And the application was R2, and I think we inquired about that one. And I think the applicant was asking to be R2.
I mean, whatever residential is, honestly, we're new to this, so we didn't know. We looked on the list of what the zoning initials were, and we chose one, but if it needed to be R2, I don't know. You guys are the experts, tell us what it needs to be.
I think the difference was between 1 acre and a half acre.
You guys want to sign in real quick?
He did.
Okay, got that. Can you tell us your names?
Kurt Knuth, my wife Heather Knuth.
Make sure I say it correctly.
When we purchased this property, initially, we had the idea, my children had the idea of eventually coming out and building a home for each of them, my son and my daughter.
Okay.
We didn't realize that we were the only ones still out there that were zoned agricultural. So the only way that you could break apart any of the land was in 5-acre increments, which would destroy really the beautiful part of that property. So we wanted to initially, we just gave up on it and didn't understand this process, and 5 years later, we're now going through it again to try to be able to possibly do 1 acre or 2 acres on each of the front corners for our children.
I may have gotten out of order here, so did you have something before I start asking questions, or Chris, did you have some more?
Well, usually we let you go ahead and make the presentation. I do think clarity on what zoning district you're asking for is essential. So, being R1 or R2, you had it on the letter of intent as R1, you had it on the application as R2, so my question is this okay to move forward first from a legal perspective? Can we cure that here?
Yes, I think that, Mr. Robinson, your understanding is they're seeking R2?
That is what was advertised and
Okay.
what is on the application.
Then I would,
Okay, and as long as the applicant believes that they're pursuing R2 zoning,
Yes, that's
Just
fine.
define the acreage that has to be. It has to be at least an acre,
No, half acre.
half acre.
We actually did the application and came back in to pick up the sign, and at that point, I noticed that that was different than what I originally put on the application. We were told by the zoning people in the office that, no, we wanted to be what they put on there, so we said,
Can I
okay.
ask a couple of questions of them first, before we go where you're about to go? All right, so you guys said that you're trying to cut it out for your children.
Right.
So if currently, the way it stands with the way it was advertised, you're looking for R2, which would be lots as small as, roughly a half acre.
Okay.
But if you're only looking for 2 lots, why was it that you didn't just stay with your current zoning A1 and just create 2 5-acre lots for your kids? What was the reason for not?
Because it cuts too much in the land. So where the placement of the house and the current driveway is, if we were to take 5 acres, you'd have to go deep into the land and it would encroach on our space. So
Okay.
down the road, if they sold the property to somebody else or whatever, we'd have encroachment too close to the property. We just felt like it would encroach too much on the original
Okay,
land where the house
and-
is.
And we didn't want to break away anything. We wanted to always have at least 25 acres float with our main property.
Yeah.
Okay, so you are going to cut out 2 parcels for your children?
2 parcels,
1 acre?
about 2 acres each
1 to 2
is what
acres,
we're
yes.
looking at.
So was it an option for y'all, did you consider to just rezone just those 2 parcels and leave the remainder A1?
Well, we just figured, what's the benefit of doing that? This way, it's our property, we can do
Could be a
what we
tax,
want with.
I'm thinking it could be a tax reason
It
for
doesn't
you.
affect the taxes at all. We don't have a agricultural tax exemption.
But
on that property.
an R2 property to a builder developer is worth more than an A1 property. So I'm not sure how the county handles, the assessment of that, but just me thinking from what
I
I
see your
do,
point.
that's, and the concern too that other people are gonna have is that under that R2 zoning, it could become a subdivision. You're proposing 2 lots,
Well,
but
there
it
was-
technically
There was
could
a
be.
stipulation that there could be no more than 2.
Exactly, and that
First
they would have to
stipulation.
come back and sit before you all to
That
to
was
see
our
if anything else could be
understanding.
done.
Well, it wasn't a stip to come here, it was a stip for development regulations.
Yeah, but
So, but
approval was stipulated on that one.
But it doesn't limit you to just the 2 lots. You could do more.
Okay, I did not know that.
Right.
That-
It's okay.
that's not how the
And not
approval
doing
read.
this, you guys don't do this, all the
No.
time. So it's perfectly okay to not,
Okay.
to be where you're at, the way you're not really sure what you need to do there. My advice was just that maybe you,
Just take out the
that just take out the 2 parcels that you
2
needed.
for- Yeah, okay.
Or go back to the R1, not the R2. I mean, your intent to us was to cut out a couple of lots that were at least 1 acre or 2 acres.
Right.
What you're asking
But
for,
we'd have to present you with the drawings already drawn up from the surveyor of those lots being taken out already, right?
possibly,
And
that's a
repetition
question.
and
Yeah.
repay another
We've already paid
$6,000
ridiculous
or
Right.
amounts of money
Three.
just for this at this
But,
point.
right, but you're gonna have
Okay.
to, you're gonna have to
So-
pay that when you do it anyway,
okay.
when you do cut
we're
them.
not-
Well, that's why
at
we're
that
saying we
point
wanted
yet.
to do
Okay.
it once and be done.
Okay.
Okay.
Let me ask you this. With this amount of property, why wouldn't you put it in agricultural conservation? Because that would help your taxes tremendously.
Because if in 10 years we decide to sell,
Well,
that also locks that in for the next buyer, that if they want to take it out of conservation, they have to pay up all those the differences in the taxes.
But if you're planning on keeping it 10 years, you can, after that 10 year, I think it's 10 years, isn't it?
We don't know what we'll end up doing.
Okay.
I mean, honestly.
Your children, are they ready to build now? Are you looking to build?
They both have homes now.
Okay.
We're just figuring it out.
Like we said, 5 years ago, it was a lot simpler at that point, but then we
Yeah.
ran into this problem. And this is just a matter of us talking with the family and looking a little bit further down the road. as
And we
get
didn't
to
know this
retirement.
process, so we said, let us do the process first and figure out what's what.
It's understandable.
So let's get back to the original question. Are you wanting R1 or R2?
Yes, R2's.
Would you
That
be,
was what was posted, that's
That was
fine.
what was advertised as well.
Yeah.
so.
let's
would
do
you
it.
be amenable to R1? Would you accept R1?
Do we have to go back through this process?
No, I mean, if we make.
And define what
That's
R1 would do.
That's a,
Oh,
That's
well,
fine.
that's what we're doing anyway, so yeah, that's fine.
can we stipulate that or no?
It's a little bit of a challenge because of what's been advertised. You can reduce to intervening zoning categories. However, I'm not sure that the applicant knows what they're after, because their position keeps changing. It's nothing against the applicants, but I want to make sure that y'all are clear what you're asking this commission to do. This commission is not here to give you legal or tax advice, but what is it you want to do with your land? And you need to be clear on that. So what I'm hearing from you is you want to pursue R2. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Now, if the board decides to recommend an intervening zoning category, and is R1 construed as a lesser zoning category than R2, then it is within the realm of possibility that the commission could recommend R1.
Okay.
But I don't think we've actually, no fault to Mr. Steele, but I don't think we've actually heard what the applicant's presentation is just yet.
Yeah, I jumped the gun a little bit.
Yeah. Protocol would dictate that
Well,
you
it's
present
just
your
what we
application.
stated. We'd like to break off 2 acres on the front corners of the property for one home to be built on each of those 2 acre lots.
Yes. Yep.
One single home.
So 2 acres on either corner.
Yes,
Yes.
on the front corner
So-
on Thomas Road.
You're talking about a total of 4 acres divided
correct.
into.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, you've got 2 listed stipulations. Again, generally, I would ask, are you in agreement with them? You're already familiar, at least by referring to it with the one, that if anything more than 2 single-family homes become a consideration for this property, you know that it has to come back before the planning commission for consideration.
Right.
And then owner-developer agrees to obtain residential driveway permit and meet requirements of said permit. That usually goes without saying, but it's a
Right, the
stipulation.
builder would apply for those, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But that's not what the stipulation says on one. It's
It
coming
says
back. It's
More
just
than
going
2
to,
single-family,
but finish it. It's going, and
excluding the
it's going to
existing.
plan review, not this committee.
Oh.
Yeah.
It is plan review,
Yeah.
sorry. You're right, sorry. Okay, so, but you are familiar with those and you accept those 2 stipulations?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Any questions beyond what's already been discussed to the applicant? Thank you very much.
Okay.
Yes.
Proxy didn't have a question. Joe?
Did you have any questions, Jacob?
I think Mr. Steele asked the question that I was curious about in regards to what was the purpose behind rezoning the entirety of the acreage instead of just plotting out the parcels that were in question and keeping remaining in A1. I think that has already been asked.
Okay. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak on behalf of the application? Is there anyone wishing to speak in opposition to the application? Please come forward, sign in, state your name, and address your comments to the chair.
Thank you. My name is Linda Hudson, and I represent the residents of Thomas Road. We have a petition against this because we do not want this to become a subdivision. That's our primary concern about it. So I'm still not clear whether we're R1 or R2 and what that actually means. But the infrastructure on Thomas Road will not support. We don't have water, it's all well. And the entrance, both on Thomas Road and on Raccoon Creek Road, are very narrow and small. And there's the Raccoon Creek wildlife or preservation area is there too, and we are concerned about the wildlife. We're also concerned about the number of people. This is a rural area. It's always been that, and we want it to stay that. We do not want a subdivision. So I understand that the applicants really are trying to just cut out enough property for their kids, and that has happened up and down Thomas Road since I've been there. But I don't know why it has to be rezoned, and I hear some of their concerns that it needed to be rezoned in order to give their kids property. And we're not really against people giving their kids property. What we don't want is for somebody to sell it and then decide they're going to build 30 houses in there, because that's just not what we're looking for. Okay.
Thank you.
Is that
Thank
it?
you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would wish to speak in opposition or may have questions, comments, or concerns regarding this application? The applicant, there's remaining time, considering that we didn't start the clock, but if you want to speak back to the concerns just mentioned, you do have time to do that, and there may be further questions.
Well,
again, direct your comments to me, please.
Okay. In regards to the concern of a subdivision, that's not our intent to do that. And as you've already said, the approval that that you are leaning towards granting is based upon what we've just said, the two houses, and that's no more.
Also, I don't believe that there is a single property that is adjacent to our property, runs up and down Thomas Road, that is zoned agricultural still. I think we are the remaining property on that road. So at any point, any of those homeowners could sell and build a subdivision if zoning allowed it. Yes, we have 30 acres and it's one of the largest parcels on Thomas Road. But again, I don't believe, I think I looked, I don't believe that any of those parcels that run up and down Thomas Road are any longer agricultural. They're all residential. And we are the remaining one out there.
And I see that, to your north, east, south, and west, all adjacent properties are R2, according to the staff's packet.
Yeah.
The concern that most are going to have is that once it becomes R2, it's a larger tract, that it could become a subdivision with half-acre lots. You guys could sell it a month from now to someone that could develop it. So that's what your neighbor's concerns was. Well, that's why I went back to the...
But again, they would have to come through you all, right?
Not through this board, no ma'am.
They would have to come through the county.
That's correct.
Okay.
And I would imagine the county would reject that and deny that. I'm not saying that's
not
the intention, but...
Right, not necessarily, but if I think where I was coming from, if your intent was just to cut out a couple of parcels for your kids, that I'm not sure, the communication, if there's been a lot between you guys and some of the different county departments of some other options like
no,
council
there's been no communication with anybody.
Like you said, we're not
over
giving you
anything.
legal advice, but I do this for a living, buy and sell properties and develop properties, that's not what you guys are looking to do. And if I made a motion to table this for a month, it would put you off for a month. But that would give you an opportunity to go back and talk with the tax commissioner's department, to talk with staff, and possibly come back with just two parcels. And
well, again, the argument would be, if we're going to go do that with tax commissioner to get a tax break under agricultural, there's things that we would have to do. We have to run animals on it. We have to grow something on it and produce on it. you know.
I don't know that that's entirely.
You
I think
can't
you
just say, oh, I'm going to be agricultural and get a tax exemption when you're not doing anything to
In
fulfill
addition-
that, I believe. I mean,
And that's what I mean.
We have to go back and get it resurveyed and come back with the surveys at that point. We've already had to pay $3,000 just to do this application. And as far as the question of, well, why can't it stay agricultural? Well, we mentioned that. We'd have to break off 10 acres of the 30-acre property in order to do that. And it would destroy the
front
beauty
end
of the
that
property.
And you're just wanting to do the two lots,
the front end of that
an acre or
property.
two.
Yeah, because the back end is, you
We
can't
hunt in the
build
back of the
there.
property. You know, we're not intending to do anything. We love it. That's what the whole reason why we're trying to keep it that way.
Okay.
Well, see, one of the major things, like Mr. Steele was talking about, 10 or 12 years from now, something were to happen to you two, y'all were in an accident or whatever, and your children didn't want all that property, then it can be sold to a subdivision under the R2 zoning. But if we did an R1 zoning, it would make it you would have to come back to this board to get the zoning for a subdivision.
Okay,
And that
so if
would
we
be a
did it as
protection.
R1,
That would be a
protected.
way of having protection for your neighbors, but you would still get the same thing that you're asking for. You would get the property to be able
Okay.
to build the
So
two
we would
houses.
just
I
have
think
to
what Mr.
repost for
Steele's
another
trying
30
to.
days.
Okay,
trying to say.
hold on. Let's one at a time.
Now, the question that I've got is, why are we being put under this onus when the property directly next to us that is mostly cleared is R2?
It may have been R2.
And it's 20 acres.
It may have been R2 from the beginning when we had a zoning initially begin in 1969, the late 60s when zoning took place for the county. It may not have been rezoned recently.
More than that, likely what happened, the whole county was zoned R2, and then whoever the property owner was at the time, he went back and applied for the agricultural zoning to get the agricultural zoning.
Yeah, yours could have been reverted back to
Oh, okay,
R1,
so
to
somebody
A1.
could have done that.
Yeah. Yours was probably R2 at one point in time, and then taken
And it went
A1
back.
for a reason.
Okay.
I'm
So if the application is going to move forward with the requested zoning from the applicant to be R2 as was advertised, then that is what we're going to either take action to approve or recommend denial. Either way, it will then go before the Board of Commissioners for their final consideration.
Sure.
Yes, sir.
If I may, I just want to restate what the UDO says about what is in your consideration, okay? Ultimately, y'all are making recommendations to the Board of Commissioners, all right? But your recommendation can be consistent with one of these, all right? You may approve, deny, reduce the land area for which the application is made, change the zoning classification, district or category requested, either to the one sought or to other constitutionally permissible classifications, which may not necessarily be an intervening classification. Add or delete conditions of the application, including but not limited to site-specific conditions, variances to zoning regulations, or allow an application to be withdrawn without prejudice. I just felt it was important to just kind of restate what the purview and scope of your discretion is.
Thank you. So are there any further questions to the applicant at this time?
Well, I guess my question is, since you brought up this R1 a number of times, if we go forward with the R2 and you decide not to approve it, we have to go back through this process and spend the money all over again to go back and do it R1?
That is a possibility. Yes, we can. That's also a possibility. There's any number of things that the board can make the motion of that's consistent with what our rules are. So if you decide to go forward with an R2, there could be a vote to allow it, voted up, and then it gets forwarded to the Board of Commissioners. Also, based on previous discussion, we could make a motion to reduce to a lower zoning level, like R1, and let that go forward to the Board of Commissioners. You can determine that this has become more complicated than it needs to be at this time, and you could elect to withdraw the application, and we can let you do so without prejudice. We can also table for considerations so that this picks up at the next meeting of the Planning Commission, having given you enough time to look at what the options are so that you make a decision that is more consistent with what your actual intent is than just settling on what's being discussed right now. Because again, there was confusion in the application process in that the application said R2, the letter of intent said R1. So based on the advertising, which was for R2, that's what we have to go forward with. And I will also acknowledge that you are correct in looking at the map. Every property surrounding you is currently R2. So that is, without a doubt, what's on the map that I'm looking at right now. Yours is the one that is A1. So you have some decisions to make, or you can let us go ahead and move forward, and you can try to address this before it gets to the Board of Commissioners for the final hearing.
If we were to say we changed to R1, even though our application was for R2 at this time, what do we have to do? Because we posted for 30 days at R2, so do we have to post another 30 days at R1?
If you are agreeable to lessening the zoning district, and the commission here, this planning commission, agrees to make that motion, and it is voted for approval, that is what would go to the Board of Commissioners for our recommendation. They are still an independent body and can take whatever necessary action they feel they need to at the time that it comes before them.
But by doing R1, it would provide the protections that the other residents on Thomas Road would.
The difference between R1 and R2 is R1 requires a larger lot size.
Okay. Then I'd like to pursue that then.
Thank you.
Not to muddy the water, Mr. Robinson, the next zoning beyond R1, estate lots, what's the minimum lot size?
2.5 acres.
Would you be opposed to that?
No.
I don't, well.
2.5 acres?
No, because I'm not, if you were to look from a satellite view, I'm not sure. We have a certain amount of cleared land that's only probably 4.5, 5 acres at most. And I'm trying to keep what we cut pushed away from that area. I don't want to have to cut so much that I'm coming to all the way back to
our driveway or something like that.
And you wouldn't have to cut the entire 2.5 acres. When you build the houses, you just clear what you need for the lots.
That's true.
And
well, I know that, but again, how does that 2.5 acres work out on those corners?
it depends on how they lay out from when your surveyor does eventually lay the lot in for you. Based on, it's gonna come down when you go to build the houses anyway, because this is septic and it's on wells. There's no county water on this road, so you weren't gonna be able to do half-acre lots anyway under the R2 with well. It was gonna push you to an acre and a half, so the 2.5-acre lots is really what this probably needs to be. That's where I'm leaning.
Through R1, we can do 2 acres if that works.
Or we could do 2.5.
You could. You're correct. You just couldn't go under 1 acre lot.
I think R1.
What's the classification for the estate? What is that?
ER.
R what?
ER.
Just
ER.
Estate residential.
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to know what it was.
Yeah, and it's a 2.5-acre lot
2.5,
size
and
minimum.
it's ER. Okay.
So, any further questions to the applicant? Thank you very much. So at this time, we will entertain a motion with regarding application 2025-11-Z. Again, there's 2 listed stipulations. Anybody want to make the motion?
Go ahead. All right, I'll make a motion. I make a motion, we table it to have more discussion, to give time for the applicant to discuss with staff and other departments.
I have a motion
look at
to table
other
consideration of application 2025-11-Z by Mr. Steele.
I second.
Second by Mr. Leggett. All in favor? And again, that would be, do I need to clarify to which meeting? Yeah, you said you approve, right?
That's correct.
Okay. Jacob said he approved. So that would be forwarding this application to next month's agenda. That is going to be heard, there should be no additional expenditure on your part, just to be clear. It's just moving it to the next month for consideration to give you more time and to provide clarity in what you need to do.
And in that time, do get with other departments too. Your planning and zoning staff again, and you're welcome to reach out to me or any of the other ones if you have a question about it too.
If I could just make a commentary, we went up there and tried to
no.
meet with people.
It's okay.
The subject is, at this point, for the formality of the meeting, the subject is closed, so it'll be forwarded to next month's meeting for the Planning Commission. You will need to attend the meeting. Mr. Robinson?
Next application, actually, next two applications are City of Hiram, 2025-03Z, City of Hiram, application by Blue River Development LLC, requesting to rezone approximately 50 acres from B2 Highway Business District to Mixed Use Development District within the City of Hiram for proposed development of 319 townhome and single-family residential units and approximately 49,000 square feet of non-residential / commercial space. Property is located in land lots 663, 664, 669, 670, District 19, Section 2. It's along the north and south sides of Windy Bagwell Parkway, which is also US 278, east side of Poplar Springs Road, and it's east. The property lies east of Bill Caruth Parkway. It's in Commission Post 1 and 3. Just a note that the southern 17.07 acre parcel included in this rezoning is also subject to annexation in the City of Hiram. In this one, there was some questions. The original letter of intent suggested more units than is proposed, and that it was also mentioning text amendments for the mixed-use district, which the City of Hiram actually voted on that back in December, and so there's no text amendment with this application. Staff has recommended approval with 10 stipulations, and got a couple other.
Mr. Chair, if I may make a comment before this next application commences.
Yes, sir.
Just for clarification, for those that are in attendance and those that are watching, this is, as Mr. Robinson and as you, Mr. Chairman, stated, these are for the City of Hiram. The City of Hiram is an entirely separate municipal corporation within Paulding County. The City of Hiram, through its City Council, makes decisions as to whether or not zonings will be approved, denied, or amended. This is a situation, sometimes people will ask, why is it before the Paulding County Planning Commission? It's before the Paulding County Planning Commission because under state law, we have what is called a service delivery strategy, where the county and the various cities try not to duplicate services and duplicate resources unnecessarily. So under the service delivery strategy, the Paulding County Planning Commission and the Zoning Department provide planning and zoning services on behalf of the city. This public hearing before this recommending body is one of those services. And of course, as was previously stated, this body will make a recommendation to the City Council. This is not a matter regarding Paulding County government, it's Hiram City government. I just wanted to clarify that for these next two applications.
Thank you. You had additional comments to make, Mr. Robinson?
Had a couple other, you received some information in your backup material regarding some opposition from adjoining property owners. That is in your backup. And also, since our Planning Commission member Jacob Wicks is also with the school system, and some of the comments that he wanted to share regarding the school system's input is regarding this rezoning of 50 acres and the proposed 319 townhomes. The estimated yield is approximately 111 total students across K through 12. Their formula breaks it down to 51 new students for Hiram Elementary School, 27 new students for PB Rich Middle School, and 33 new students to Hiram High School. And I wanted to get that into the record.
Thank you.
Which middle school is that again?
It is Hiram, PB Rich Middle School.
Thank you.
And if the applicant would sign in, state your name and address your comments to the chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have signed in, sir. For the record, my name's Rob Hosack. I'm here on behalf of Blue River Development, LLC, the applicant in this particular annexation and rezoning proposal. I did want to mention, as Mr. Robinson and legal counsel have pointed out, the letter of intent did reference a text amendment with the recommendation from this commission as well as action by the city council that has been accomplished. Moving on to some background information, we've got some slides here just to provide the commission with an idea of where it's at. I did want to mention a couple of things in this presentation for illustrative purposes only. There have been some suggested land uses as it relates to the required civic components in the mixed-use ordinance that was passed by the mayor and council. By no means are these particular suggestions for a civic use meant to commit the county nor the city to any type of action or building any of those particular uses. We just wanted to make sure that we gave this commission as well as the Hiram folks an assurance that we complied with the terms of the ordinance and we have provided a viable site that could be used in a partnership, could be used by the city, could be used by the county. It is a civic use property that we fully intend to use civically and comply with the terms of the ordinance. And I did want to, before we get into the meat of our presentation, one thing that I have discussed with our folks, being cognizant of what this may or may not do as far as impact to the school system. I believe in the past there have been voluntary contributions to the school system to help offset that particular impact of the number of students they anticipate. And certainly Blue River would be willing to participate in such. I believe customarily it's been $500 per residential unit, and certainly that would be something that the Blue River folks could commit to during the plan review process if that were a recommendation that the Planning Commission would like to include, sir. That being said, this slide that I am showing currently is part of the background information and just provides the commission with an idea of where these particular properties exist. These particular maps provide a little bit more specificity as far as the adjoining zoning in both the city of Hiram as well as Paulding County. Our next slide is really just snapshots from both of the land use sections and comprehensive plan sections that were prepared when the county and the city participated in their joint comprehensive planning efforts. A little bit of background, as Mr. Robinson had correctly stated, we're seeking 319 owner-occupied single-family residential dwelling units. The overall density is going to be 6.34 units per acre. We've got 10 acres of proposed commercial space, which we think is a very positive fact in that there's only 4 that's required by the ordinance. Ultimately, this yields, as shown on the site plan, 49,000 square feet of proposed commercial. We believe that kind of provides an impetus that this will be a true mixed-use component. We have set aside some acreage as well as required by the ordinance for the civic use in a location that we feel like one of the locations has prime access and would be a great fit for a civic use. Moving on to this next slide, did want to share some background with the board. I'm sure they're aware of this. This is from the short-term work program, and it basically talks about the importance of creating connections, particularly to the Silver Comet Trail, and certainly the text amendment that was adopted by mayor and council, as well as the site plan that we've prepared in accordance with those regulations, indeed establishes those connections. Little more background information. These are just colored renderings that show the green space and some of the environmental features that will be protected. I think it's important to note here too, particularly as it relates to some of the concerns that have come from the neighbors. I believe those are stormwater or drainage related concerns, and as you can see, there will be 2 detention facilities that will be subject to review and approval by the Paulding County professional staff in accordance with their service delivery strategy. And as a general note, normally property that is in a vacant state is probably going to allow more pass-through drainage than it would in a post-developed state where the terms of state law have been applied. Detention slows the water release down from peak storms to what's required in the law. So oftentimes, certain development types, particularly with appropriate staff review and stipulations, can improve existing drainage conditions as opposed to exacerbate them. The next slide, Mr. Chair, again, highlighting just some of the green and the protected buffers here. Did want to mention that this is well in excess of 10 acres. The civic space is shown in blue, and it's on the lower 2 parcels that I'm showing right here. And as we move to this next slide, again, I wanted to make sure the disclaimer that I provided earlier was read into the record. This is an illustrative example. It is by no means an attempt to commit any type of fire station being constructed here, nor would it be an attempt for this retailing green space. We're simply wanting to provide an example that we fully intend to comply with the civic use set aside. Moving on to this next slide, did want to share some of our assertions. We are certainly pleased that we have received a recommendation for approval from the staff. We are in agreement with the listed stipulations that were included in the published staff report. We do think that there's consistency with the joint comp plan. A number of the items over here, these bullets, come directly from the comp plan and our stated objectives. I won't read through all of those, but I just wanted to provide the commission with an idea of some of the things that we believe are positive and give supporting grounds for recommending approval. Same slide, or same points here on the next slide, consistency with the joint comp plan. We also feel like we are fully compliant with the new mixed-use district. These are some of the things that we believe we are accomplishing that are listed in the ordinance and that will be enhanced with this proposal that's in front of the commission as well as ultimately in front of the mayor and council. I'm going to finish up now with just some slides of what we feel are very good slides to give the commission as well as other folks an idea of the quality that we intend to seek, particularly along some of the parkways that will be constructed within the project. These are some of the views that would be coming from the parkways that are constructed along and throughout the project. Little closer view of some of the commercial opportunities and some of the streetscape and amenity features that will be built into those particular commercial development components as well. This is just a final overall site plan that actually has the required data tables that list the uses as well as the parking compliance, the compliancy with the parking. Did want to mention that We are seeking no variances from the city's newly adopted MXU zoning district. We are fully compliant with that particular ordinance. And then I am also available for questions. We have our professional engineer here who can answer some of the technical questions that I might not be able to answer, and would request, Mr. Chair, that we reserve the rest of our time, sir, with your permission for rebuttal and responses, sir.
That would be about 5 minutes, just so
Thank
you
you,
know.
Mr. Chairman.
So you've already alluded to agreeing with the 10 listed stipulations. I would open it up for questions from the Planning Commission.
Would you put that screen, that last screen back up? It shows your layout of your development.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. From what I've seen and in the concept pictures that you've shown, how strict to that concept are you planning on staying? Because from what I see, if there's a fire, there's no way to get any fire equipment close enough to the buildings to be able to fight the fire.
Commissioner Leggett, I believe that the design right now, it's probably not showing fire hydrants and the water layout, but the development regulations that are within the UDO I think y'all did a really good job on those. I think it's going to be incumbent on us to make sure that all of the units, particularly those that are attached, one, are sprinkled, but two, are within a certain amount of hose lay that the fire marshal probably has built into their standards. So in the event that there was a need for those type of services, I think if this particular site plan in its state right now, sir, did not show fire hydrants or how the fire services would be addressed, I believe we're going to have to do that per the staff recommendation that we comply with project-related improvements as well as the staff recommendations.
Then you mentioned, you showed in one of the slides, there was a projected fire station. Is that something that you're willing to donate to the county for a future fire station? We've only got one station in that area, and the possibility of fire could happen the first day that the tenant goes in. And if they're on another call somewhere else, the next nearest station is going to be Dallas. So, you know, it's a precarious situation with fire protection. Not only fire protection, our ambulance service, with these developments coming in like this, they're already strained now with the amount of calls that they have to run. These type of developments are going to push them past the limit of what they can withstand with the amount of stations we have, the amount of personnel we've got a great fire department, but they can only be at certain places at certain times when they're on calls. Your department may not get a response until Cobb County is able to come in on a mutual aid. So it depends on what the call volume is and what Station 2 is already on at the time. What do you think about setting aside property for a future fire station?
Commissioner Leggett, we would have no problem. We fully intend to set aside that acreage. I would answer you definitively right now, but I feel like if I do say yes, that we're willing to set aside that land, I would just like to make sure that the end use involves the city of Hiram.
City of Hiram has no fire station.
Correct,
They
sir.
don't know them. They don't have a fire truck. It's all Paulding County.
All Paulding County. And
That's right.
I just want to make sure that if they thought, well, how about we do, some counties, I used to work for Cobb County. We used to do a lot of joint buildings where some of it was a community meeting room space, but we shared a tenancy with the fire department. So when I had deferred to Hiram, it's a pretty big site. So if they wanted to cohabitate, for lack of a better term, or co-locate along with a fire department there, I would just like to make sure I got a nod from them. But we fully intend, we know that that property has to be used for the public, for a public use. I would think a fire station would be a wonderful use. Particularly if there was a need for enhanced services. Absolutely, I think that would be an appropriate use.
The 5 acres that you keep referring to, is it going to be donated to the city? Was that the intent?
Well, to be honest with Commissioner Steele, we had not said who we were going to donate it to, because if the city of Hiram wanted to do something jointly with, let's say, the Paulding Development Authority, or because they wanted to build a new, we did not specify, simply because we wanted to provide both Paulding County as well as the city of Hiram the most flexibility and an opportunity to partner with somebody else in the event that that was needed to make it financially feasible. Fire stations are pretty expensive to build, as are other municipal buildings or park buildings. But certainly the intent is ultimately that property's got to be deeded to somebody, and we just wanted to leave a little bit of flexibility as to who it goes to at the end, sir.
Okay.
Any other questions to the applicant?
Mine is, I've got a couple, but it's going to be.
An additional comment from what Mr. Robinson had provided.
Go ahead. This is Jacob Wicks.
Again, I appreciate Mr. Robinson and his, sharing of the stats of kind of the breakdown of the anticipated impact of the student population of what this potential development could propose adding to the schools. But I also wanted to add that the current capacities of those schools that were referenced, current operational levels, we're actually below our listed DOE operational capacity levels. Hiram Elementary is sitting at 91%, PB Rich Middle School is sitting at 77%, and Hiram High School is sitting currently at 81%. But I wanted to clarify, even though a school may sit below that operational limit for the DOE capacity, we staff schools based upon the occupancy of the students that are there. Of course, if it's 1,000 FTE school and we only have 600 students in it, we don't staff for 1,000 students. So the impacts they kind of spread across a multitude of areas. It's not just talking about the capacity of the school, making sure that we have a classroom that's available for a student. The impact that we also have to take into consideration is those operational impacts for additional staffing, administration, additional transportation, additional nutrition, additional custodial services, the additional maintenance, and everything else that would go along with incorporating those additional students. And so for this particular development, those numbers that Mr. Robinson provided with the 51 for Hiram Elementary, the 27 for PB Rich Middle, and the 33 additional for Hiram High School, those would take that DOE operational capacities up to approximately 97% for Hiram Elementary School, 78% for PB Ridge, and 83% for Hiram. So just in this one application, you can see how that operation capacity creeps up there to that full capacity level.
And that also is it not true, Jacob, that would not even be considering other developments that we have in that area that are in process now, that are in plan review or are in development, actual development? That's not considering the impact of those developments. Is that true?
That is very true. So the numbers that I just gave, because I'm trying to make sure that we are separating applications, but there is going to be another application further in the meeting that, of course, will affect the same schools because it's in the same area of the city of Hiram. So those numbers, I'll present that at that time, but you will see how those incrementally go up. But you are 100% correct. That does not take into any consideration developments that are either currently underway, have previously been approved, or coming to completion that would feed into those 3 specific schools. And I don't have the exact number of them in front of me, but I do know that there are several that are, in various stages of plan review or construction that would add to those numbers.
Okay. So any other questions to the applicant from the Planning Commission?
So, I mean, I have questions, but it may be with the applicant and with staff. But as Mr. Palmer mentioned, you had 10 listed stipulations. You were aware of that. You mentioned the $500 a lot to Paulding County School Board as an option for an additional stipulation, which may help offset what Mr. Wicks was just talking about. But I'm not seeing anything related to water and sewer. So I wanted to reach out to the Water and Sewer Director and see if you guys have been in communication about, we can't have firefighting without water, right, Mr. Leggett? And the sewer, I know, flows into the Rakestraw Creek sewer lift station, which could possibly be an issue, but.
Our Rakestraw pump station, can you hear me?
Not really.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, the Rakestraw pump station right now is pretty much at capacity. So what we have is we've been putting together development agreements to help compensate for that, to build the Rakestraw reroute, which is going to take 40% of flow off of Rakestraw. So this property would need to enter into a development agreement with the water system, or with the county for the water system.
Mr. Hozak, was you aware of that? Have you all had that discussion before?
No objection, Commissioner.
So that would be okay for the a 12th stipulation?
That's correct, sir.
Okay.
No objection.
And then one other question to the DOT director. So Mr. Leggett has brought up fire protection, and I've seen the chief here the last couple of months. When we do these plans through plan review, are the fire department seeing these? Are they seeing the accesses? Are they seeing the, in addition to you guys looking at the traffic, the streets and the street layout, street design?
The fire department is part of the development control committee, so they do have personnel who is looking at these plans. Obviously, they want to ensure that their folks, their equipment can get to these locations that are built. So.
Okay, so they would have the opportunity to object to something during plan review if something doesn't fit or they can't reach or.
Right, they have the opportunity to make comments on all facets of the plan.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Mr. Hossack.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Can you tell me how many of these townhomes? You said you had 319 townhomes and single-family units. How many are single-family units of this 319?
There will be 26 single families, Commissioner. So the breakdown of the 319 is 293 attached towns and 26 detached single-family homes, cottage craftsman homes, cluster homes, ma'am. But there would be 26 of those.
Thank you.
And those are the ones on the north and east side of the parcel, is that correct?
That's correct, sir.
Layout.
What's the breakdown as far as, are all of these going to be rentals, or are they going to be purchased homes? What's the breakdown that you anticipate?
Owner occupied. I believe there's a cap or a percentage that would be required or at least requested, but we're not in the build to rent business, so we would intend to develop and then in partnership with our construction unit or with a builder that we would partner up this with, these would be owner occupied and intended for sale, Commissioner.
Does Blue River, are they a residential builder also?
Yes.
Okay. So, but currently you don't have another builder under contract?
No, they're internally discussing. More than likely, we'll bring on a partner just to make sure that we can deliver on the quality that we're committing to this commission as well as the city of Hiram.
And then the renderings that you have in this display or this presentation, is that the intended look, or is that something you've built in the past, or is this just an architectural rendering?
It's something that we've done in the past. I will say that the city, when they adopted the text amendment, was pretty specific about excluding a number of undesirable building materials, sir. So I think the UDO in Paulding does a pretty good job spelling out what's expected as well. So even if we were going to try to do something maybe that wasn't up to snuff, I don't think your UDO is going to let us do it anyway, Commissioner, in all honesty, sir.
And where are your materials sourced from? Are they locally sourced, or where do you?
Commissioner, I'm not sure of that. I could follow up on that and perhaps just let you know. I would say my experience has been whatever builder group that we may partner with, ultimately, I don't know about the materials, more than likely, yes, but I can assure you there'll probably be a lot of subcontractors that are familiar with what's expected here, and so I fully anticipate using a bunch of local subs, and we'd probably do that, really, it's to our benefit to do that, cut down on travel time. The folks know what's expected. They know they can't cut corners. They know the process and they know the code pretty good.
So does Blue River, do you say that they don't do rentals, but do you market to investors that buy the homes specifically for rental?
No, sir. We do not.
But would you deter someone from purchasing them and renting them?
Well, I think that if that were a concern, Commissioner, that we would have no objection to capping. What I have done in a former life in Cobb County and what I've done in other places assisting clients is we have voluntarily agreed that under no circumstances will, the total number ever exceed 10% or 5%. Oftentimes now local jurisdictions have a percentage that is in place that you have to agree to. So if there's something that Hiram or Paulding County has customarily done as far as a percentage number and they want to cap it at that, then we would not be opposed to that because we face it in other jurisdictions, sir.
So is it 5 or 10?
10. I mean, honestly.
What about 0?
I'd probably have to check with the Blue River folks about 0, but I feel like something that we have had to comply with before, 10 or 5, certainly they would. I've kind of told them to expect it, and so 10 would be fine, sir. I'm sorry, that was a long answer to a short question. 10% would be fine, Commissioner.
Where is this Blue River Development LLC located?
They are located over in Peachtree Corners. It's in a brand-new office building that they lease space in, but they have been based over there in Peachtree Corners for a number of years, and the majority of their projects that they started out in were here in the metro Atlanta area, but we've actually expanded to Alabama, Tennessee, some in Florida, but Georgia's kind of our sweet spot.
Are there any buildings located near where we can look at them?
If you go to, Mr. Chair, may I ask the civil engineer where one of our projects is right now? Would that be acceptable, sir? Carlin, where's the one we're doing down south? Which jurisdiction? Is that city of Jonesboro? There is one in, I believe it is the city of Jonesboro, but it may be the unincorporated county there. But we have a project that we're actively working on down there right now, ma'am. And Commissioner, I could provide that. I could provide that information to you. Following this presentation, I could text my guys at Blue River to ask for a couple of project names. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
One other question for you. On one of your sheets, you show on the southeast corner over into Cobb, and I know your background from Cobb from my early days as an engineer and developing. is that project that's shown on there for display purposes, is that you guys doing something on that corner? Or
No,
is that
there's I believe there is another application that's pending in Cobb County.
Okay.
And we just felt like
But that's not,
particularly.
but it's not y'all?
No, sir, that's
Okay.
that's not Blue River. We felt like that was information that that Mr. Jones would need.
Okay.
Just to be able to see. And so we included it in there, and Commissioner, I think Carlin went to great pains to say, not part of it, because I was like, hey, guys, make sure we don't make this, indicate that this looks like.
And I saw that, I just wanted to know if it was y'all that were doing it.
No, sir.
As a separate project.
It's a separate company.
Right. No, it's a proposed project that's coming. But it's not them.
Quick question, what's the anticipated price points on these?
As much as I would like to say, we hope that they could be affordable. I know that's a buzzword right now, sir. I'm sorry, Commissioner Callaway. Probably the mid to upper 400s. I think with some of the stuff that we are going to do, particularly the private infrastructure, and the private infrastructure is a requirement that is embedded in the ordinance. So we came into that knowing that we were going to have to construct that. But the owners association that we intend to form to comply with the code requirements, I believe all of that will probably dictate a starting point right around there, sir.
Any other questions to the applicant? Thank you. You may take your seat.
I'm excused for right now, Mr. Palmer,
Yes.
unless you call me back up. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here that wishes to speak on behalf of this application? Is there anyone here that wishes to speak in opposition to this application or may have questions, comments, or concerns? Please come around, stand at the lectern, sign in, state your name, and address your comments to the chair.
Yeah, my name is Glenda Whitlow. I live in a subdivision directly across the Silver Common Trail from where this is proposed to go.
Could you repeat your last name, please?
Whitlow.
Whitlow, thank you.
W-H-I-T-L-O-W. Yeah, I wasn't prepared to speak, but I do have an objection only to a 10% in the rental, those who have the potential for going to rental to investors. I did a quick math, 5% 16 units and 10% is 32 units. The tax revenues in the state of Paulding County is at a level where we need to have homeowners contributing to the tax base for the county and not rental properties. If there's any way to bring it to the lowest number possible, including zero, I would be in favor of that. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak in opposition to this application or may have questions, comments, concerns? Sign in, state your name, address your comments to the chair.
Hello, I'm a resident, my name's Ed Pulaski, and I'm a resident of the Poplar Farm subdivision and live on Saddle Horse Lane. That's adjacent to the property on the north side of Wendy Bagwell, the development there. And so we're the back of our houses are going to be adjacent and to the townhouses that are proposed on the backside. So we have some concerns and some items that I wanted to bring up. Looking at the applicants, the application that was submitted on their zoning review standards, they on number A, the existing land use and zoning classification of nearby properties, the applicant notes that the existing land use and zoning classifications of nearby properties are multifamily residential, general commercial, and industrial. Our properties in Poplar Farms subdivision are not multifamily residential homes. They're single-family homes. On number 2, the B, whether the zoning proposal will permit the use of the suitable in view and use and development of adjacent and nearby properties. The applicant contends to propose a mixed use and consistent with existing multifamily residential. Again, our adjacent properties to this development are not multi-family home, rather residential units. What we have here is 20 feet. There's, looking at their first picture where they showed a view from the street view, they show a nice setback, from the street before their development starts. But when you go to the backside, where these townhouses are, there's 20 feet. Number D on their zoning review standard, whether the zoning proposal will result in a use which will or could cause excessive or burdensome use of existing streets, transportation facilities, utilities, schools, and that it will not cause excessive burdensome use of existing streets, transportation, or utilities or schools. We believe that it will burden the schools, law enforcement, and the traffic in the area. I had presented a petition that I had taken to the homeowners along Saddle Horse Lane there on the back side of that north side of the Wendy Bagwell. So we have concerns, and our concerns are stormwater management. We have had in the past flooding coming off this property into our properties in the Poplar Farms. So we are very concerned that when going in and disrupting this, that they would have a robust stormwater management legally verified, and that will accompany this, so that we are not in effect getting flooding after or even during construction. The second point, probably the main point on the petition, is a required buffer zone. We would ask that the commission would entertain a 75-foot buffer. At the present, and with the drawings that I've seen, there are 20 feet. Well, 20 feet is less distance in the width of this room. So we're going to be at the back of we're sitting in our back of our yards, and we could have a townhouse, a 2-story townhouse, 20 feet from the back of our property. 75-foot, we're asking for a 75-foot natural buffer zone instead of the 20-foot that's in the ordinances. We feel it's a dissimilar zones, so there should be a buffer, a natural buffer there, and that it'd be no less than 75 feet for a stream, that you'd give 75 feet for the people that live there. In all reality, we ask that there be no townhouses built on the backside. The drawings that I've seen are pretty vague. I can't tell, but it looks like those townhouses are set up at 100 foot. So we would prefer that a natural barrier put in to divide our subdivision from their subdivision. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pulaski.
I have a question for you. What kind of vegetation is there now, as far as the vegetation in that buffer?
The property,
Yes.
Right now, it's pine trees. It's just forest pine trees.
Okay.
It's all, yeah, it's mature pine trees.
Now, when you're asking for a buffer, it can be natural buffer, which
Yeah.
could be a planted buffer where it's, the existing buffer can be taken out and replanted, or undisturbed buffer. Now, what would you prefer?
We would be open to, if you can extend it out to 75 feet, I would think we would welcome any buffer.
Thank you.
And I want to clarify something that you stated earlier, just so you understand it. In A and B and C, when the staff is talking about adjacent properties or nearby, they weren't specifically talking about Poplar Farm or Poplar, I forget the name of your neighborhood right behind it, but they were talking about in the vicinity. So there are multifamily stuff across 278 behind the other side of it. So
Yeah,
that's
there
what
is.
they were saying.
Yeah, and I get that, but here we are, we're gonna be neighbors.
Right.
And so instead of saying, well, we want to build this next to a single-family dwelling subdivision, but, well, no, but, we do have some multi-level with it, and, build over there, to impose this that close to an existing subdivision is our concern. And actually, when I took the petition around and talked to a lot of people, and I understand this, they were told, that was the third stage of development in Poplar Farms. It's about 10 years old. Of course, they were all told, oh, that'll never get built up back there. They'll never build back there.
Did you buy the house new?
I'm the
in
second
Poplar Farm?
owner.
Second owner? Okay.
And so, I understand when they say that, things change.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else wishing to speak in opposition to or may have questions, comments, and concerns regarding this development? I will bring Mr. Hosak back. You did have 5 minutes remaining. I would also point out that regarding the stormwater question management plan, there are requirements already in development regs. And again, this is just to determine whether or not this proposed use is acceptable in this location in order to get the rezoning. They would still have to submit to plan review. If it did make it through to the city council and they did ultimately approve it, they would still have to submit to the requirements of the development standards that Paulding County has adopted, as well as the city of Hiram. And we also know that the city requires a stormwater maintenance agreement to be in place and recorded to deed to help maintain any concerns that may exist from the stormwater perspective, just to deal with that first question from the petition. Then I would go back to, I'll give you an opportunity for rebuttal. Again, direct your comments to the chair, and then we may have further questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll be brief, sir. And I just want to give this commission an assurance. The gentleman provided some very good, both folks provided some good concerns. I did want to point out, I think that that back row that is adjacent to the subdivision where the gentleman lived, we don't plan on doing towns there. That's going to be where the majority of the 26 single-family homes go. The idea being that would provide for better land use transition than the towns there. So we feel like that is one way to offset some of the visual. We're fine with either an undisturbed buffer. I don't believe we would be able to provide 75 foot, but we could provide whatever minimum the city tells us. And then if there were some additional buffering that could be provided on the particular properties along our southern border that we could assist with, I believe that the Blue River folks would be happy to assist in that as well. They're all about being good neighbors. I just don't think that we would be able to do the 75-foot buffer, but again, they want to make sure we do whatever we can do to try to soften the blow and soften the impact. That was one of the reasons that we cited the towns, the cluster homes along that back property line, trying to mimic similar lot sizes to the subdivision that's there now.
Your detached product that you're talking about, is it single story or multi-story? Is it
It'd probably be 2.5 to 3. Yes, sir.
on the detached?
More than likely,
So,
yes,
a little
sir.
like a detached townhome, rather, I mean, we don't traditionally see 3-story detached product.
And when I say that, one of the products offers kind of an office, kind of thing that's upstairs. 2.5, that's why I kind of defaulted with 2.5. Some places consider that 3 stories, depending on what the definition of building height is. So,
Get into some building code there too, so.
exactly.
Okay. That's, okay.
No, sir, I don't,
All right.
thank you
Any-
for your time and attention. Happy to answer any additional
Any
questions.
further questions then?
Not to Mr. Osak, but to Mr. Phillips. So you started off this conversation, or this particular presentation, this zoning, talking about the zoning category going to the city of Hiram and not to our board of commissioners. So currently, there's 10 stipulations listed. We've talked about possibly 2, 3, 4 other ones that we could add. Are these stipulations set in stone, or can the city nix these?
The city can do whatever, they can adopt it as recommended, or they can make changes within their discretion.
So in the $500 to the school, the development agreement with both the DOT, the water system, which are both county, the rental discussion could all be taken away from us as a stipulation.
It is possible, if you recommend those stipulations, that they may change those.
Okay.
But they may also adopt them.
Okay.
Any other questions to the applicant from the Planning Commission? Hearing none. You may sit down. So I will consider a motion on application 2025-03-Z-COH for the city of Hiram.
I make a motion to table this for 30 days to our next meeting. That's going to give us opportunity to get some answers on some of these questions we've had today. That's my motion.
I have a motion to table from Mr. Leggett to the next meeting of the Planning Commission. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a second from Mr. Aston. All in favor? All opposed? Motion, and Jacob, which do you do? Hello? Jacob, you there? Oh, let me turn you back on. Okay, a motion has been made to table this for consideration by the next meeting of the Planning Commission. I have 4 voting to do so, 1 voting not to, and then there's you.
I vote to deny.
Well, the motion is to table.
Yeah, I vote against. I want to, I don't agree.
Okay, so let's clarify. I have a motion with 4 voting for tabling it to the next meeting, and I have 1 voting not to table it. You are saying you don't want to table it?
That's correct.
Okay, so 4, 2, and 1. So the motion passes, tabled for further discussion and consideration on the application.
Mr. Chairman, will we take an intermission before we go to the next one? Yes, sir.
Okay, do I have a motion to take a 5-minute break?
So moved.
So moved by Mr. Aston.
Second.
Second by Mr. Steele. All in favor? Motion passes 5. And what about you, Jacob? Thank you. 6, 0, and 1.
Okay, we're calling the meeting back to order. Mr. Robinson.
Okay, final application for today is 2025-08Z, City of Hiram. Application by Trayton LLC, Kevin Moore, requesting to rezone 63.79 acres of R2 Suburban Residential District and B2 Highway Business District to the Mixed-Use District within the City of Hiram for the proposed development of 279 residential units, including 104 townhomes and 175 single-family homes, as well as a dedicated area for civic and non-residential commercial space. Property is located in land lots 609, 615, 616, 681, 682, and 683, District 2, Section 3. It's on the east side of Hiram-Douglasville. The property is located on the east side of Hiram-Douglasville Highway, which is also State Route 92. It's on both sides of Seaboard Avenue and on the south side of Rosedale Drive. It's in Commission Post 3. Of the approximately 19 properties associated with this rezoning, 5 are within the city limits of Hiram currently, 14 are located in unincorporated Paulding County and adjacent, and are subject to a pending annexation as well as this rezoning application. Staff has recommended approval with 12 stipulations. The applicant had submitted a agreeable stipulation letter, which is in your back material, and we've had some let's have one person. We just had some concerns and questions from a neighbor on the east side, and again, for Jacob Wicks, our member, this development 2025-08Z is anticipating to yield up to 152 total students across K through 12. That would include 70 new students at Hiram Elementary School, 37 new students at P.B. Rich Middle School, and 45 new students at Hiram High School. Applicant is present.
Okay, the applicant, please come around, sign in, state your name, and address your comments to the chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Planning Commissioners. I'm Kevin Moore here on behalf of Trayton Homes, the applicant, in this application for rezoning, as well as it includes subsequently an annexation application in the city of Hiram. I think Mr. Robinson did a good job of highlighting for you the overall property and how it's a mix of city of Hiram properties as well as unincorporated Paulding County properties. Certainly, I'm happy to represent and always proud to represent Trayton Homes, who's been building homes in Cobb County, Paulding County, and surrounding counties now for over 50 years. It's a locally owned and still locally owned and operated home building company in this area, and has built many fine communities throughout Paulding and Cobb, as well as surrounding counties. What's presented to you today is a proposed rezoning of this 63 acres to the newly created MXU mixed-use category that was adopted by the city of Hiram end of last fall, towards the end of last year, really in November. So I think while you've had these applications that are now back-to-back about a mixed-use proposal in the city of Hiram, I do not foresee there being a flurry of this type of activity. I think it's just a result of the fact that the city of Hiram went through a fairly lengthy process of looking at their zoning ordinance and adopting a new zoning category, during which time these projects were in planning stages and development stages of plans and design and came along. But the ordinance itself, the mixed-use category, has several thresholds that have to be met, and they're met here with this project. So I think there have to be in locations that are very specific for a mixed-use project, and we think where this property is located is absolutely ideal. This property is located mainly on 92 and Seaboard Avenue, just south of 278. Your Home Depot Power Center is what I would call it, is on the top side of this property, on the north side, between this property as well as 278. You have the Silver Comet Trail, which forms the southern boundary. So when you look at the screen, you can see the Silver Comet Trail as that southern boundary of this property. But really importantly, I think for us and what we believe in terms of this project and the vision for what this project can be is its close proximity to the city of Hiram downtown itself. This is within walking distance of the city of Hiram downtown. It's also in close proximity to very ample, kind of more large box or larger retail, but it's also in such close proximity to the city of Hiram's downtown core that it provides a very unique opportunity to have this type of mixed-use development be added to what I would call the more core downtown city of Hiram, which would only benefit those downtown merchants, the activity, and just the overall ambiance in a place of destination for the city of Hiram that it can become as well. Turning to the actual site plan, I just want to go through several of the component parts of this application to talk about that with you. First, as Mr. Robinson stated, we have proposed a maximum of 279 homes. That's split with 179 of those homes being detached homes, and you can see that represented on the site plan. Just if you're looking at the plan, those detached homes, there's a large section of detached homes on the right-hand side of your plan. That's on the other side of Seaboard, which kind of Seaboard Avenue comes down the middle of this site plan, as well as detached homes on the left-hand side. That's Highway 92, Hiram-Douglasville Highway, there on the left-hand side. The townhomes are more centralized along 92, with a few detached homes then, again, transitioning to that along the top. Our numbers in terms of that, 175 detached homes to only 104 townhomes. Now, these townhomes are also a mix of both rear-loaded and front-loaded. We've taken careful, intentional design to provide for, in certain areas, certainly as you come in the main entrance off of 92, to provide for rear-loaded townhome units there once you get past our commercial areas, so that you have really a nice streetscape as you're coming into this community, or coming in at least to visit the commercial or civic areas that would be present there in the park areas. You have townhomes that are frontward facing, and that's very intentional on our part. In addition, as I just mentioned, we do have a minimum of 5.31 acres of what's designated in the MXU or mixed use ordinance as non-residential area. That is commercial, retail, restaurant, office type of area. That's primarily along 92 where you would expect it, but at the entrance to this proposed development where it can not only build off of the future residents here that would be future customers, but also off of the exposure you have to Highway 92. And again, that connects to us, provides that connectivity not only to this development as a place to be, a place to live, a place to enjoy, and a place to visit. It builds also off of what you have with downtown Hiram and what it can become as well, and continue to support the downtown merchants there. Also, I want to point out along Seaboard, which is in the middle, you'll see there's a part of this property which is out. That's where you have Paulding County as well as City of Hiram property that has civic uses that they have there, parked and so forth, that are there for city as well as the county use there. That's why those are not included. They're already used today and used well. But directly across from that, we have a location that we've designated as commercial. We believe that commercial space, which is also adjacent to the Silver Comet Trail, provides an ideal opportunity to really activate this area in terms of having what we call a trail-related type of use. That is, be it a bike rental shop, be it a food and beverage type location. We believe that would be an excellent location for that, as you have visitors that are on the trail or coming to the trail where they can come and enjoy this location, get on that trail, as well as enjoy the offerings that the city already has there. Also, as part of this development, we have proposed, and Trayton has proposed, 2 actual amenity areas. These are full active amenity areas. One on the left-hand side, kind of the lower left, is an active amenity area for residents, as well as an active amenity area on the other side of Seaboard on your right-hand side, to make sure that the residents on both sides have active amenities. And what I mean by that is, very nice pool and pavilion type of facilities that Trayton has done in its subdivisions and communities, to provide for those opportunities for future residents as well. Also, I want to point out to you, as you come in from 92, you'll see some open space there. It's actually a pretty significant open space. We view that as a real gathering place, a real gathering park that would be placed there, where it'd be a landscape park for both future residents as well as guests and customers of those commercial areas we see using that park-like setting. It's a real thoughtful way to do this development and to design this development so that it's not just insular to the future residents and homeowners, but it also really builds on that concept of a mixed use, which means it should be also welcoming to the community at large in the surrounding area that can use those particular areas as well. We have, as Mr. Robinson stated, have submitted a stipulation letter with some additional zoning conditions. We've been in conversations with the Seaboard Township Homeowners Association. Seaboard Township, if you're not familiar, is just on the other side of the Silver Comet Trail. It's a very nice townhome community called Seaboard Township. We've been in conversations with them and wanted to make sure that our commitments to them were also in writing, one of which, as you've discussed before, we did include in our conditions a rental restriction. We included that as a maximum of 10% of rental, which is what Trayton is used to for its communities in terms of commitments that it makes voluntarily. Certainly, to go ahead and answer the question, if this commission wants to move forward with a recommendation that be reduced to 5% as a rental limitation, we'll certainly take a look at that. We're not opposed to that necessarily, but we'd want to take a look at that a little further. But if that's what this commission wants to do, I just would want to say you're not going to hear me bark about that. The rental limitation is important, for one, because it does highly discourage the corporate investment in rentals. Number two, it needs to be a limitation and not a prohibition entirely. The reason being is that because people will own these homes, whether they're the detached homes or the townhomes, and they will own these homes, and certain circumstances can occur where somebody needs to move for work, somebody has an issue with a family, and they'll need to rent it for a little bit. And that's perfectly fine. They own their property, and we don't want to take away their right to do that. What we want to do is limit the right of everybody to do that at one time. So that's why the rental limitation, we think, is one that keeps it at a very small number. It discourages the corporate investment that we don't want to see either in a Trayton Homes community, number one. But number two, it allows for those opportunities when emergency circumstances arise. We've also gone the additional step, though, and have outright prohibited short-term rentals. Think Airbnb. So any short-term rental would be a rental that's less than 30 days. That's considered a short-term rental in most jurisdictions. Those are outright prohibited, and I wanted to make sure that was understood. And we've also agreed to all of the staff reported conditions in their recommendation. This proposal is within the comprehensive plans of both the city and the county and meets and consistent with those plans. We think the overall development proposed shows a great deal of intention, design, of bringing forth a true mixed-use development that has not only a mixture and a healthy mixture of residential components, but a great mixture of intentional commercial components that are designed to be in locations where they can be executed and be successful. We think Trayton has done a great job with this, and we hope you agree. And I'm certainly here to answer any questions that you may have and respectfully request your recommendation to the City Council for approval with those conditions.
You have about 5 minutes remaining from your time.
Can I use 30 seconds of that, if you don't mind? I just want to add, because it wasn't part of what we had planned to do, but we had been alerted earlier that there may be a concern from the school board, and I know that in the prior application, they had offered that as a condition, and Trayton is certainly willing to participate to that exact same level that we would be willing to participate to help offset and mitigate school concerns as it relates to that. So I wanted to make sure I added that because that was not something that had been brought to our attention before today.
All right. We've
Thank
already
you.
established that you are in agreement with the 12 listed stipulations from the county. What I'm going to do at this point, because it's hard to juggle this at the same time, I was going to go ahead and turn it over to Jacob, who is a representative from the school board. Jacob, are you there?
Yes, I'm there.
Okay, I was going to just open it up for you to make comment, and I don't know if you've heard the last part of what Mr. Moore, who's speaking on behalf of Trayton Homes, that he was agreeable to the contribution per unit to the school system as well.
I think I had my microphone off. I apologize. Anyway, he had made that last bit as a concession, which mirrors what was made by the previous presenter as well. But I wanted to turn it over to you, give you a chance to speak before I start opening up to questions from the rest of those in attendance.
All right, thank you. I did hear the inclusion of that potential additional stipulation. So as with the previous applicant, it is commendable to look at that as a willing gesture for the school system. But in regards to the facts for that particular application, I wanted to do a couple of clarifications. If anybody was kind of keeping track, between the previous application and this application, there is actually a higher yield or estimated yield for this particular application, and I wanted to clarify the reasoning behind that. Due to the fact that this one has a higher number of proposed single-family detached homes compared to the townhomes, there is a higher yield that comes off of those single-family detached compared to the attached townhomes. So that's the reason that there's actually a larger potential yield of student population. And again, as Mr. Robinson stated earlier, that breakdown equals the 70 students to Hiram Elementary, 37 to PB Rich, and 45 to Hiram High School. So as stated in a previous comment by Mr. Leggett, when you look at these independent applications, this particular application as a standalone application for the impact of the numbers that were just provided, you would then take Hiram Elementary from its current capacity of 91%, and it would push Hiram Elementary to a 99 percentile of capacity. That would take PB Rich to 81%, and it would take Hiram High School to 84%. But as Mr. Leggett made a comment earlier, and I agreed with, that does not take into consideration other applications. And as we're in one board meeting here, even though they're two separate applications, if you were to combine both applications from the previous applicant and this current applicant, those combined would push Hiram Elementary School over its 100% capacity up to 105% capacity. And again, that does not take into consideration any of those additional projects that have already been through the plan review process or already been approved by the Board of Commissioners that are currently underway. So any project above and beyond that these applications are approved will just further exacerbate that overcapacity situation. And so, number one, I just again wanted to clarify why there was a little bit of a larger estimated output of student yield for this particular application because of the single family detached and the attached. And then also wanted to clarify the combined total of what that population would look like at those schools if both were approved.
Okay, thank you, Jacob.
That also doesn't take into account, that's just an estimate of the number of children, what actually may move in those single-family residentials, with it being a 3-bedroom or 4-bedroom, whatever, they may be all full. So, that could really explode the numbers in that case. That's just an average estimate, is that not true?
I think that question was directed at you, Jacob.
And those estimates are exactly that. We, as stated in multiple previous meetings before, Paulding County School System engages with a third-party demographics entity, and what we do is we keep track of current developments, we keep track of proposed developments, and we keep track of trends of how fast those developments are coming to fruition. So again, you got a development that's out there that's got a 9-phase project. The completion of that 9 phases may be spread across 8+ years, and so what we do is we work with trying to best track those numbers. And what happens is ultimately you come down to a student yield factor, and that student yield factor is again a percentage that we apply to different types of developments and different types of homes. So again, it is an estimation, but they're fairly accurate estimations. And then of course, as projects come online and we start seeing those numbers of those students as the developments are either rented out or purchased, and we see those numbers of students as they come in, we add those into our projections, and we add those into our forecasting. So it is a moving target, but it's a target that we move with, and so these numbers are pretty accurate, but it is a true statement that you never know truly how many kids are going to be there until they're there.
Thank you. Okay, from the rest of the planning commission, are there questions to the applicant?
I have a few questions. Mr. Moore, I'm not going to hit you for a new fire station. You got one sitting right in the middle of the development. But one concern I have is Rosedale Drive. Would Triton be interested in building a bridge for the Silver Comet Trail to go over Rosedale to be able to get the pedestrians from crossing Rosedale? They'll never be able to it'd be hard to get from one side of Rosedale to the other with the way the road is situated at this time, with all the curves in it, because I've seen some near misses there before of riders trying to go by and cars are speeding and try to go through that. They run that red light. But the only solution to that problem is building a pedestrian bridge over Rosedale at that point. Instead of, would Triton be interested in doing that bridge? You know where I'm talking about?
Are you referencing Seaboard or Rosedale?
It'd be Rosedale. It would be, near the concrete plant.
Right, okay, so that would be a bridge that is completely off our site and off our property.
But that would be a great donation instead of the fire station too.
Well,
and some of your people may be the people that get hit on trying to cross that road.
Well, we'd like them to connect from where we're going to build a connection for our project, for our people. Building a pedestrian bridge, I mean, I don't want to make Triton sound like they don't want to participate in civic duties and civic responsibilities, but that's probably a bit of a load too far to build a pedestrian bridge off our project that our residents want.
We'll put a big plaque on the side of it that says donated by Triton.
Well, they'll certainly consider it.
But seriously, that is a real serious concern there, because there are a lot of near misses there now. Well, people, that is a heavily traveled road without your development. Another traffic question I have, since there at Rosedale and Seaboard, there south of the Home Depot, where that four-way stop is, would you consider putting a roundabout in that location?
I don't know if it'd be a roundabout, but we would consider that as part. We would consider the traffic improvements and road improvements that are recommended by the traffic study, which we've submitted, which is also going to be further and continue to be updated. And that's one of the intersections where there's recommendations for some road improvements, but not a roundabout. But if that's something, I mean, it's a Paulding County DOT road, so it'd be something that we would want to
That'd be the perfect solution for that area. I saw a lady run that four-way stop Saturday. And that would be the perfect solution there. Your development is going to be, a major impact on that.
Sure. The only issue with a roundabout is the amount of right-of-way. Roundabouts, to be built to DOT specifications, take a good amount of space. We only own one corner of the four.
Right.
Or would only own, and that would be potentially problematic to commit to a roundabout. We've committed to traffic improvements and road improvements there, but
you might lose a little bit of space in one of your,
but we'll need the space from the other three corners, I'm certain. Just knowing how big those have to be. But your point about road improvements, that is well taken, and it's part of our studied intersections, which we've agreed with DOT to address per their recommendations.
Okay, if this is approved and sent on to the city of Hiram, I'd like to see, as part of the stipulations, that the city of Hiram assume maintenance, and they also bring the rest of Seaboard into the city of Hiram, and they maintain it, and they maintain the section of Rosedale that is affected by this development from Highway 92, at least from behind that Highway 92 to the Silver Comet Trail. I don't know if that's a possibility of the county, but it's going to be a large burden on the county to maintain all this stuff, and there's no benefit to the county of doing this. This would be something Hiram would need to assume the responsibility of, in my opinion.
It falls under the service agreement, right?
Right.
Mr. Phillips can answer it.
There's a couple of things going on here. One is there's always a possibility of an intergovernmental agreement regarding road maintenance between the county and the city. And there is another component, and that is if there is an annexation of these parcels so as to bring the parcels on both sides of the road into the city, then the city by statute takes over maintenance of those areas without an agreement. That's their legal obligation. But that's only when the city has both sides of the road. Just a couple of things to keep in mind. Have to see how those develop.
Are there any other questions to the applicant?
Just like the last application, I mean, several of the same comments and questions or concerns are there. So I'm going to go back to the water and sewer. I didn't see anything in the steps related to water and sewer. Is there?
It heads in a different direction.
Okay, so not the same outfall. Okay.
Any other questions from the Planning Commission to the applicant? Thank you, Mr. Moore.
Thank you.
Mr. Moore, real quick, did Trayton provide any renderings or anything of what their two different products are going to look like? Or do you have any of that with you? Or do you have another community we can look at?
Yes, so we do have proposed elevations that are part of this. I'm not sure. I know they were shared when we, I'm just trying to think. This has been pending for a while, so I'm trying to think if I sent those on to Mr. Robinson, but I know they were shared with the community that we're meeting with. But regardless, yes, I mean, this development, though, is larger. You have development on Powder Springs Road in Cobb County that's not too far, called Tap Farm. If you're ever going down Powder Springs Road, it's called Tap Farm. It's got the same mixture of townhomes and detached homes and then larger homes. That's a more recent vintage that Trayton has done a great job with. Would be a good visual with a great amenity.
And is that going to be their detached product on the east side of this project, the bigger lots?
Some of it will be, yes, that's correct.
Do you know a price range estimated starting point?
Sure. So we envision the price points here starting in the, call it high 300s and going to high 600s. Because you're looking at 3 to 4 different types of residential products. So there's going to be some overlap as that, so you can create those kind of different price points.
Does the townhome tend to be the high threes, the lower price product?
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
Good. Thank you, Mr. Moore.
Thank you.
You still have time remaining for rebuttal should you need it.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Is there anyone else here wishing to speak on behalf of this application? Hearing none, is there anyone here wishing to speak in opposition to this application, may have questions, comments, or concerns? Please come around, sign in. I believe you already did sign in. Just state your name again for the record.
It's really just a question. I don't really have any concerns about this. I have questions, really. I know that Trayton was doing traffic counts. Did they get the results?
Go ahead and state your name again for the record.
I'm sorry, my name's Glenda Whitlow.
Thank you.
Sorry about that. I know that Trayton did traffic counts, and that was one reason for delaying this hearing. What's the results of those? And did they take projections of what this community would cause to Rosedale specifically? It's a very small, as you mentioned, a small, narrow, winding road. Is there any impact statement available for Rosedale Road if this project were to happen? And if so, is there any discussion going on about the possibility of widening Rosedale And then the third thing is, what is the best way to get copies of these plans for Blue River and Triton communities? How do I get those? So those are the three issues. Traffic counts now, traffic counts projected, and then how to get drawings of these two proposed projects.
So can I take a stab at it? Mr. Jones, on Rosedale, with Highway 92 being widened and that phase of that project not started yet, what is what happens to Rosedale under the Highway 92 project? Is it going to still be accessible? Is it going to be right in, right out? Do you have any clue of what's going to happen to Rosedale's access?
I'd have to look at the plans. I doubt it's going to stay full access right now. You have like I said, it's a right in, right out where it comes out on the 92. It's just too close to the US 278 intersection.
And that itself may reduce the traffic count, of existing traffic count. Have y'all received traffic analysis yet for this project?
There's been some back and forth. We received one. We asked for some edits to comply with the Hiram zoning requirements. Those edits, we received some of those edits yesterday, I believe, or the day before. It's been pretty recent. So we're still going over some of those. They have some traffic counts that we're taking earlier this year. There's also going to be additional traffic counts taken, 3 additional intersections studied that will be ready before the Hiram votes on it at their council meeting. They project essentially a 1% per year growth of traffic. Rosedale, looking at what they're showing, it does not show as a need for widening a road. Typically, when you're widening a roadway, you're looking 17,000, 18,000 vehicles a day. Rosedale is significantly less than that.
With this anticipated access from Triton that's going out to 92, I can see the possibility of, instead of me going straight to Rosedale, make a left and cut through Triton's neighborhood. And I'm assuming you guys saw that as well,
Right.
Mr. Moore.
And you come over that hill, and then you have the intersection you mentioned, the roundabouts. That little section there is going to be.
But that will have to be approved by Georgia DOT, that access anyway. That won't be for Paulding DOT to look at for the one coming off Highway 92. But your question about obtaining information through the county, I think staff can explain to you how to do that, once the meeting's over, from open records or whatnot.
Okay, he gave me a card. And I know that those 2 gravelled lots on Rosedale aren't occupied right now, but they could be. But when they were occupied, that was 285. That was trucks up and down Rosedale constantly. The noise was horrible. They're empty now. So I'm concerned about, should those lots be sold and trucks return, will that truck traffic be somehow included in these projects of additional traffic and additional homes? They happen to be empty now, but what if they're no longer empty and those large trucks are again traveling up and down Rosedale, and there's insufficient signage for truck traffic when those lots do start to fill up again? I've requested that additional signage be, you know how Cobb County has trucks that says no trucks beyond this weight can come through here? Those are minimum or non-existent on Rosedale. So I'm using this opportunity to say, if we're talking about traffic for new residential, we need to be talking about the traffic for the trucks and the dangers they cause, because they literally turn on Isley Stamper and they cross over Rosedale onto the grass, block across Rosedale to make their turn, and stops traffic on a curve. So I'm asking to throw all of that into any plans for additional development.
Thank you, Ms. Whitlow.
Thank you, appreciate it.
I think right now, the way that they've got that area blocked off, Rosedale technically is a right in, right out now. Because I think the city of Hiram put that barrier on the yellow line, didn't they? GDOT did that. But it still has a lot of traffic.
Mr. Jones, real quick before this gentleman speaks, the one that's coming out on the Highway 92 through the Triton's townhome parcel, and you have the packet, you see?
Yes, I do.
Is that a full access right there? Is that where the other townhome project across the street?
Hiram Park subdivision?
Yeah.
Yes, that was listed at one point by GDOT being a full median cut.
I mean, why would this not be something that we look at together, developer, county, city, as another connectivity that's bigger than just a subdivision street through there. I mean, that would help with problems that we have had and are continuing to have at Rosedale.
Right.
92.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, when you have development, you do have the opportunity sometimes to, have additional quality accesses built. Absolutely, we're open to that. Again, Hiram has control of their development within their jurisdiction. Paulding County DOT, Paulding County Board of Commissioners has control of intersection layout in unincorporated Paulding County. Obviously, GDOT, state highways, it's their call on what they believe those, intersections and roadways need. But we obviously work together to determine solutions.
Just on paper, as a driver in the county, and I think the rest of you see it too, I can see people cutting through Trading's neighborhood, and if we have an opportunity when it comes to plan review to work on lining some of that stuff up and trying to get the best traffic pattern we can get, we should do that.
One thing I will note on these, with this zoning district, these streets inside internal, they're private. They're not city of Hiram streets. They're private streets.
They're not gated. That's not going to stop. I mean, just look at the private street that runs directly in front of Home Depot, Sam's, all the way down to McAllister's, and ask those people that own those office buildings down there.
But I'm
their
saying,
feeling about City of Hiram and what they've asked them to do on a private street.
But being that they are
I'll leave
private,
that there.
being they are private, they do have the ability to gate them or to do whatever they see fit, legally, obviously. But
right.
Yes, sir.
Sorry, sir.
Hello. My name is Garnett Morris. I am from Seaboard Township HOA. I am the author of the petition against the proposed project by the applicant. I'm just going to, for the sake of time, read the petition, and I'm going to augment the reading somewhat based on conversations that I've had with the applicant. To the Paulding County Planning Commission, we, the undersigned residents of Seaboard Township, Hiram, Georgia, are deeply concerned about the proposed rezoning for the Trayton Homes community development. This massive project, which envisions now 279 new single-family homes and townhomes, is planned for the forested area directly adjacent to our community, near the Silver Comet Trail parking lots on both sides of Seaboard Avenue, extending to Route 92 on the west and Rosedale Avenue on the east. While we understand the need for growth, we believe that this development in its current form poses significant threats to our quality of life, local infrastructure, and the character of Seaboard Township. We urge the Paulding County Planning Commission to recommend conditioned approval of this rezoning application, and that the City of Hiram do the same, unless and until the developer fully and demonstrably addresses our community's critical concerns. Our concern is based on several issues. First, the overwhelming strain on local infrastructure. As previously mentioned, we have concern with traffic congestion, particularly on Seaboard Avenue and Route 92, which really aren't equipped to handle, prior to the expansion, at least on 92, aren't equipped to handle the significant traffic. The overburdened schools, as was previously discussed, the potential strain on emergency services, and then particular to our community, we have a stormwater management issue, which Chairman, you are aware of, in Seaboard Township, that affects our Phase 2 residents. This stormwater management issue was created as a result of a miscommunication, we'll call it, between the City of Hiram and the county. It has resulted in consistent flooding into our Phase 2 section. We want to ensure that the development that's proposed and the construction of the development that has been proposed does not add to that issue, that current issue. We have been given assurances by the applicant that through their engineering, that the stormwater management is going to be addressed. We'd like to make sure that those points are addressed in writing and legally binding, which the applicant has committed to doing. We want to make sure that the local environment is protected, nearby streams, our ecosystem, et cetera. We want to make sure that there are pre-construction mitigation efforts put in place, measures put in place to ensure that we don't get any excess stormwater during the clearing of the lots, clearing of the land, not just at the end of the project, but throughout. Also, the preservation of the community character. And a lot of that goes into the inclusion of rental or the exclusion of rental properties. As was discussed, we are very concerned that there is a cap placed on the number of residential units that can be rented. The cap of 10% would mimic what we have in Seaboard Township, so we're fine with that. However, one of the issues that we have in Seaboard Township is that renters come in, they lock up the 10% and continue to rent forever. We don't want that in this community next door. So we'd like to propose a cap of 1 year on any applicant that is approved for rental in this community. To keep two things. One, to keep it a non-rental community, but also if, as the applicant stated, if residents have any extenuating circumstances that require that they do rent, that period be minimized, right, to a reasonable period of time, 12 months, 18 months, something like that.
There's 4 minutes remaining on time.
4 minutes, got it. That's really it. I mean, I think I've covered all the bases here. With regards to a comment that Commissioner Leggett made, what I've been told by the applicant is that the development of this proposed residential community is going to take place over several years, which would allow for the city and the county to beef up infrastructure when it comes to emergency services, schooling, et cetera, to accommodate the 279 new homes. So I say all of that to say that we do have significant concerns, but based upon conversations that we've had with the applicant, we feel as though they are addressing those concerns, and that we would thereby recommend that you go ahead and approve the proposal.
Thank you, Mr. Morris.
One quick question for.
Sure.
Did you say that Seaboard Township does have a cap on their rental?
We do.
What's that number?
10%.
Okay. And HOA manages that?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Morris.
Thank you.
We still have about 3 minutes remaining. Is there anyone else here wishing to speak in opposition or questions, comments, and concerns regarding this application? There's time remaining on rebuttal of time from the applicant. Okay. Are there any questions to the applicant at this point from the Planning Commission? Jacob, that would include you. Okay. Anyone?
One more for Mr. Moore.
Mr. Steele?
So, back to, the thought of traffic, and one of the people asking questions was about Rosedale, and their concern is traffic. And then Mr. Jones reminded me that they will be private streets. Is Trayton proposing any type of gate, limited access for general public driving through a private street?
We're not proposing gates at this point in time, but we would be, I could see us definitely including traffic calming measures, which discourage cut-through traffic, if that's, and certainly would have no problem with that.
And that full access is coming out on 92. I mean,
yes,
it appears that you have, significant property through there. I mean, in discussion with Paulding DOT, I would like to see you try to work with them as possibly having that as access for everyone, not private through there.
Sure, it's just the way the ordinance is written. We don't want to gate it. We think that, because you've got a public road, you have Seaboard there in the middle, and we find the connectivity and the ability to access through is of benefit overall, with some traffic calming measures internally, but we're happy to work with the city or county in that regard.
In Hiram itself, where the volcano Korean and Japanese restaurant is.
Sure.
That street behind it that runs through that office complex is private.
Okay.
But a tremendous amount of people cut through there. And so the wear and tear on that falls on that HOA that owns that property.
Mm-hmm.
And they've been reached out by people to, make sure that it doesn't have potholes, but it is a private street. I mean, it doesn't fall under jurisdiction of Hiram or the county to do maintenance, yet that owner, and in this case Trayton, if it's not gated and it doesn't stop me from driving through there, and I drive through there and I damage the street, it falls upon your residence and your HOA, no different than Seaboard Township if it were private or if it's public.
Right.
So just a thought.
We're happy to. It's just the way that the City of Hiram mixed-use ordinance calls out for the infrastructure to be private. So we're just following the ordinance.
Yes. I just think it's an opportunity.
But if they want to make that an opportunity, then we'll have to.
I think it's an opportunity for the county to look at some of its area and the congestion that will occur there in the traffic studies for both Rosedale, Seaboard. We may be missing an opportunity right here if we don't. So that's just my 2 cents.
Well, some of the comments were made were, of course, providing the traffic study results, which can be done once they're finalized and submitted, and they would be a subject to open record, and as well as copies of the plans would also become eligible for view. The list of points that were given by Mr. Morris when he was up there, one of them, which I don't proclaim or never would, to be a specialist in property law. We have plenty of lawyers here for that. As far as capping rentals to a 1-year term, no greater, I don't know anything about that, if that's even allowable. If anybody wants to take a stab at that, please be my guest. I do know that you can stipulate no greater than a certain percentage be allowed to be rented and to prohibit short-term rental. I think we've established that.
Still falls on the HOAs to manage it.
That does.
Yes, the HOA management of leasing is always a challenge. Short-term rentals are clearly authorized there's litigation throughout the state on new ordinances that have been in place, but they've been successful to put limits on the short-term rentals. As to your question on lease duration, if I was a lawyer on the other side, I would say, yeah, we'll do a 12-month lease, and perhaps that same tenant might renew their 12-month lease the following year, and then they have another 12-month lease. So it's at some point we have to be careful about how much we delve into the private activities of owners and the occupants.
Well, and I do always try to keep close with what the Planning Commission is here, is to consider whether or not a proposed use is acceptable in this area. Stipulations are great when you're echoing what's already in regulation or state law. It's not as if I don't think it's a good use of time, but the list of 12 stipulations that are here, there could be additional ones added before we end the day today. There could also be additional stipulations added from the point of view of the city of Hiram. They have the opportunity to do the very same thing. But if there's any other questions to the applicant, if not, we can move forward. But
I mean, to clarify, the 12 listed stipulations, and Mr. Moore had mentioned the $500 a lot to Paulding County School
Yes.
District. We don't need a development agreement from like the last one that we had, so capping the rentals at 10%.
Yes.
It didn't sound like he was in favor of building Mr. Leggett's bridge. So,
I still think it's a great idea, and it's gonna save people's lives.
Leggett Crossing?
Trenton Crossing is a great way of doing it.
Just to clarify before we make a recommendation.
Yes.
Stipulations.
I was going to go over those, but yes, absolutely. So at this moment, I would ask if there is a motion from the Planning Commission regarding application 2025-03-COH, 08-COH, excuse me, City of Hiram. And again, considering the 12 listed stipulations, and then the short-term rental prohibition as a stipulation, and limit to 5% total rental or 10%, because I think those two numbers were thrown out by Mr. Moore. And then also the voluntary donation of $500 per unit to the Paulding County school system, if you choose to make a motion to approve.
I'd like to also see as stipulation 13 that the city of Hiram also annex in that portion of Seaboard that and Rosedale that adjoin the property that is affected, and that they maintain and have it as a city street in perpetuity, what do you call it?
So let me understand, you're wanting
Long time.
You're wanting to add a stipulation that would stipulate something on the city of Hiram?
Yes. It would be a suggestion or a stipulation that they would assume the ownership of those two streets in these areas.
Okay. I don't know.
Whether they accept that or not is another thing, but I think it's something that needs to be brought to their attention.
I think that would be more of a discussion between the Board of Commissioners and the mayor and council of the city. I don't know that we can add a stipulation to that effect to this consideration.
No, I don't. My legal opinion, I think that the idea, the message could certainly be conveyed, but I don't think that it is a stipulation that can be placed upon a zoning petition from a private applicant as to what two governments are going to do or going to agree upon. If the governments want to work that out, certainly something they can entertain and do, but that'll be a matter separate and apart from zoning.
Okay.
And our school district representative has dropped off. I've tried to call him back, and it's going straight to voicemail, so we can just move forward, I guess. So if there is anyone who wishes to throw out a motion, now would be the time.
Yeah, I would move forward if he's off the phone. He's no longer.
Here he is.
Here he is. All right.
Hello, Jacob. Okay, I'm going to put you back on speaker. Okay, I've got him back.
I was unable to hear, I think Mr. Phillips was starting to say something when the call cut off.
We were talking about the possibility of adding a stipulation, whether that would be something allowable in this particular forum to stipulate to the city to do something versus the applicant. I think we determined that, if you want to repeat yourself.
Yeah, that would be outside the purview of the zoning.
Okay. So is there a motion with regard to application 2025-08-ZCOH?
I'll make a motion to deny.
I have a motion to deny from Mr. Aston.
A second.
Second from Mr. Leggett. All in favor? Okay, so you're in favor, is that right, Jacob? Of the denial? Okay. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. All opposed?
I misunderstood it. Can you repeat it?
I said it was a motion to deny.
And you got a second.
And it got a second. And then I said all in favor, so if we can have a showing of hands again on that. And Roger, you said yes. And
Yes.
you said yes.
And Jacob's yes.
Okay, and Jacob
Mr.
said yes, so
Chair,
that's 4.
Just to clarify, this is all in favor of denial.
All in favor of denial. So is that 1, 2, 3, 4, and
You got
all opposed? 1 against, so it's 5 for the denial, 1 against, and 1 abstaining. I got it.
I think we got,
Who was against?
yeah, I'm
Okay.
against. I think you had 2.
Sam was for, everybody else was against, and I'm abstaining. And reason for denial?
My reason is,
It just
Mr.
gives
Chair,
me a
there
reason.
does not have to be a
Okay,
reason
good,
stated.
then I can hold that. It does ask me that on the form, sorry. All right, so the motion has been denied, and the results will be sent to the mayor and council of Hiram. All right, so is there any further announcements before we adjourn? This time, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn from Mr. Steele. All, second from Ms. Fitzgerald, all in favor? That's unanimous. Thank you, Jacob, I appreciate your time and patience. Sorry about dropping you.